actually have a double-header regional here with Tri-Brigade Sprite actually being on the back burner for this event. Don't beg the 30% of you that have not smashed the ever-living crap out of that subscribe button. Smash it so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. To start things off here for the first regional breakdown here, we actually have Kashtira taking down the more dominant spots, tied with Tri-Brigade Sprite. Of all things, I'm actually incredibly happy to see that Tri-Brigade Sprite here is actually getting the chance to wake up here. That is an incredibly cute deck that we haven't really seen a lot of as of late. So do kind of keep that in mind in terms of breakdown representation here. Seeing that push into something a little bit more interesting is good. We also had one regular Sprite variation. So technically you had 3 Sprite decks here taking down Top Cut. You also had a Flaunderies deck. Haven't seen that in a hot second. We also had Mathmech and Drytron here also doing its thing. I do think it's incredibly interesting to see that Drytron is also kind of still keeping up in terms of the overall metagame representation. So a lot to really see here. Let's pass on to the top deck list. Winning the event here is none other than the power of, you guessed it, Kashtira, with the ability of Triple Book of Moon, the ability to laugh at your opponent evenly matched. This deck has become one of the overall mainstay contenders. And yes, that is Lightforce Sword down there, actually getting the chance to get some work in. I'm incredibly happy to see the Lightforce Sword finally has a regional top. That was something we talked about in the very early existence of this deck's life. That Lightforce Sword is just a hilarious little out. Next up here we have our second Kashtira deck. Now this one's playing Magic Deflector in the side as the additional little plus card. We're main decking double Talents, double Econ, and triple Book. So this duelist is prepared for as much as they can actually cover here. And we are playing the Nightmare Corruptor Iblies in here. As you can see, Lingaribo has pretty much fallen out of favor at this point in time. So I think a lot of players will kind of agree that just cutting back on the existence of worry for Nightmare Corruptor Iblis, I guess, is quite interesting. Next up here we have our first Sprite Tri-list. Now, in terms of how this deck feels very, very normal. I see that we are playing one Godarla in here so that you can kaiju over something if need be. We're playing triple emergency teleport so you can bring out Gamma for your level 2 interactions. Don't you love when your deck just lets you play additional little cards inside of it to allow you the chance to kind of combo power through things? I think that that's hilarious, all right? Level 2 options you love to see. Next up here is our Drytron list. Now, our Drytron deck is, in fact, playing the Vandy's Roller. I think at this point in time, if you're not playing Vandy's Roller, you're kind of trying to play this format wrong. Vandy's Roller gives this deck a huge chance to even be able to play the game. I see that we are playing the Odd Eyes Gravity Dragon down there in the side deck as well. So you have a lot of power cards that you'll be able to kind of have access to. Shout out to Book of Eclipse, still being one of the best anti-Kashtira cards actually for the entire usage of the format. Next up here we have our next Sprite deck. Now this is regular old Sprite. Do keep in mind that you are playing the Enchantress package in here so you can get things off the ground. See, we are citing triple Eradicator Epidemic Virus in here as well. Whatever this duelist was worried about, they don't really have to see here because they're just able to clean it up. That's actually kind of amazing at the end of the day. Grave of the Super Ancient Organisms. Yeah, everything here looks very, very standard that we've been used to for the development of the metagame. Next up here is Mathmech. Ah, man. Gammas have evolved everywhere. I see that we also have access to some Drone Lockbirds in here. We are playing Santa Claus. Santa Claus being a bridge gap now is actually kind of hilarious. One Super Factor. We're not playing Induction. We're just playing with the standard stuff that we're really used to seeing here for this deck. So I'll take that overall at the end of the day. So overall, I mean, I like what we're seeing here for this. Next up, we actually have Flaunderies here. Now, Flaunder's been one of those decks ever since the loss of the Barrier Statue that they've had a pretty big issue kind of recovering from. Most of your extra deck assets down here are going to be aimed at cards to have preventative measures. Swords of Concealing Light is a little bit of a cheesy little method down here in the side deck, actually getting the chance to punish the opponent. And we're also seeing some Ultimate Slayer in here as well. Interesting little developments for this deck. And of course, we also have our last Tri-Brigade list with Sprite here, sporting off a lot of kaijus in here. Actually, that's way more kaijus than I thought we would actually see. See, of course, Eradicator Epidemic Virus showing back up down here as another preventative measure to kind of clean things up. And of course, it is kind of nice to see Foolish Burial getting some play again. And of course, evenly matched for cleanup on aisle 9. Whew. All right, we're going to pass on over to regional number 2 here. This next regional tells a much different story for the format. Actually, just kidding. Kashtira is still the most dominant deck in the room here as we continue to see this deck maintain its dominant hold on the format. Am I surprised about that? No. But next to it was Naturia Runic. Ah, yes, everybody's favorite. How many cards can you draw with the field spell? Oh, a lot. Well, that's actually pretty disgusting to kind of see that snowball of advantage do its thing. We also had one sprite deck actually winning the event. A lot of you will be very familiar with the innovations when you see the list here as to how this deck has developed. We also had Sword Soul. Haven't seen Sword Soul out here besides the VW concoction that showed up about a week ago. We also had, of course, Exo Sister. Well, that's an interesting prelude to what's to come. And we also had Trap Tricks here, kind of showcasing that they can do some things out here for the Modern Era format. Overall, I like what I'm seeing here in terms of this region. All right, let's pass on over to the deck list, shall we? Our first list is actually Sprite here. Like I said, you should be no stranger to this because this was the Melfi package that we'd seen actually starting to gain a little bit of success here at the very early stages of the day. You're also playing like Gamma Burst in here, and it's actually the first time that I've seen Smashers actually seeing main deck play here with the OTK power that this deck actually kind of wants to have going for it right now. So that's kind of a little cute innovation here that players are kind of starting to make these pushes back to their roots, actually. Next up here is our Exo Sister deck. Now, we will be getting Saki, Tama, and friends here in the near future. You will see a massive re-explosion for this deck, as I think more and more people will be excited for that. Big things that stick out here, I mean, Anti-Scam Fragrance being a pretty good choice. A lot of hand traps in here. Yes, we are back to playing Dimension Shifter. It does give the deck a pretty big, helping stone here to actually help things out. So, I like what we're seeing here for sure. Next up here, we have the power of Naturia Runic, sporting off double Nibiru in here. Double Space Rock is going to help this deck out immensely, alright? The more option trees that you can have for a deck like this, for defensive options, I mean, it's not like the deck isn't actually kind of crazy, all that good, but drawing 3 cards every single turn always feels massive good. I also like the Foolish Burial gets to drop the Sacred Tree so you can kind of start doing your thing with this deck. So overall, that's what I like to see. Next up is our Sword Soul deck. Wow, Sword Soul actually made 4th place out of this event. So very, very standard actually. I see that we're not even playing the Water Tenyi. Oh no, we are. Synthana is down there. Okay, so we are playing standard Tenyi package. We do have Droll and Lockbirds in here. We are playing 1 Heavenly Dragon Cycle with double Vassal. So a lot more of the standard stuff that I'm pretty used to seeing here. I see we have Dark World no more. We are citing the Destrudo. Ah, man, that's... I see we're playing the Oxel Synchrostaris. I didn't even notice that down there. That's kind of interesting. Okay. Next up here, we have our Trap Tricks deck with Parallel Exceed. Yeah, Parallel Exceed giving this deck the fighting chance to link climb and laugh at your opponent as they're like, what am I supposed to do about this? Well, once again, answer is not much. It's kind of the whole point. Like, the free link climbing gives this deck more defensive options. See that we are playing Baguska down there, which is good, and we are citing the dimensional barriers so you can laugh all the way to the bank as you lock your opponent out of the chance to play the game. Looks very, very, very straightforward here. Next up for this deck, we had, Gamma Seals in my Naturia Runic deck. So you have more defensive options present in this build because you want to be able to detour your opponent. I see we're also playing the Chaos Hunter down here in the side deck as well. That's not something that I've seen a lot of here. Actually, I haven't seen that at all. This is the first time I've seen Chaos Hunter actually seeing play in Naturia Runic of all things. So maybe a mirror match tech, but that's kind of cute at the end of the day. No Kashtira fun allowed there either. And then, of course, we have Kashtira here, sporting off triple Crossout Designator with just 1 of each book. And, of course, actually evenly matched in the main deck, too. So they can actually, if they had the thrust in the main deck, they could toggle for that evenly. But it's just being used as a cross-out target. And off the one chance that they actually do draw it, they can punish their opponent for it. And, of course, we're seeing that Lightforce Sword tech here showing back up for another regional. That's actually, once again, really cute. And then the last list we have for this regional is another Kashtira deck here. Once again, you're seeing Book of Moons with your lances for defensive options. And then we're seeing some ghost spells here actually as well. And I also like the little summon limits that this particular build is playing here. So you can actually get a little bit of cheese going here, and your opponent's just going to look at you and go, what am I supposed to do about this? Well, the answer is, once again, not really much. So what do you guys think about these lists? Please leave a comment about how much you guys think. See your beautiful faces back here later today, guys. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.